Hi, I'm Dr. Delia Jordan-Brown, a World Rugby medic and trainer, as well as a qualified obstetrician and gynecologist. You're viewing Scoreboard, and this is ACTN.
Hi, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome again. It's Scoreboard time. Another edition here every Tuesday, evening between the hours of 8 and 9. We come into your home where we talk sports. Well, recreational sports back here. We're going to touch on that just now. Let me first of all introduce my co-host for tonight, Maria Thomas. Maria, it's a pleasure to have you here with us again. And we have, it will be difficult to bring these fellas on here, but I know it are people who just want to see them. Dennis Allen, CEO, Rep 868, and the co-pilot, Christopher Gill, the red man.
Trusty co-pilot.
George, the last time we told you we needed our intro music. Where's the intro music, George?
Yeah.
Our name is Ho! H to the O-V!
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho. H to the O-V. I used to move snowflakes by the OC.
Next
No
time.
royalties on that, right?
Yeah, no royalties on that. Okay. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure.
Always.
Always.
A long trip south, but we liking it.
Yeah.
Next,
yeah,
you did promise us some
And it's the first
food.
show we're going to do with the beautiful Maria.
Yeah. Apparently you were in the States, right? Having it.
I was not in the States, no.
You weren't?
No.
Yeah,
Have you
so,
been trying to
Chris trying to find
guessing,
out
keep
where
guessing.
this...
Where this accent. You're okay eventually.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Chris, you ain't going to work this out.
Gentlemen, so much has happened. I know we really wanted to discuss the recent cricket tour with Bangladesh.
We'll talk about
We'll
it.
talk about that,
West
man.
Indies.
We'll talk about that.
But
But
It's
before
where they went, Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Right.
But
Where's that? In the
that is-
cricketing world?
Yeah, that is...
Lower down, right?
Yeah, that is...
They're lower than us in the cricketing world.
Yes.
No, not
Just I want to
necessarily.
make sure. I just want to make
It's
sure
not-
now
it's not-
because
but,
I want to contextualize
So we were
this win
supposed-
that we
We
won.
were
now.
supposed to beat them with an
Badly.
A team, a B team, a C team, and a D team.
Right.
Right? But we'll get to that. But before we jump into that, we get some little news this week that the Minister of Sports has relaxed some of the COVID regulations, and now you have recreational sports.
Starting
Right.
yesterday.
Right, starting yesterday, yeah.
So we're going to start there?
But not, yeah, but,
Yeah, we should start there.
but
I mean.
not with more than 22 people.
Ah.
Right?
So I don't know if you know, right, but I'm one of those guys that's called a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of investigation, and by investigation I mean I watch a lot of YouTube videos
Yeah.
on ancient mysteries. So I've realized that humans have a fixation with magic numbers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
things like pi, 22, these are magic numbers that, we don't really understand how they come about.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, why 22, Chris?
Well, I was going to get to that. I think what the minister did is they had a lot of research put into that number. And what they figured is that if you're playing small goal, and you have 7 aside, and you need 4 subs, then you end up with 22. You see, it wasn't just something just random. It wasn't like she just say, we go. No.
So if you measure the length of the width
Yes.
of the height,
Of the height.
you will get a magic number 22, which is what we have right now. So 22 is what you're allowed to play recreationally. My car could seat 4. I'm not allowed to be in my car with my family, who I live with, without a mask.
Yeah.
But I can go and sweat without a mask
Yeah.
with 22 people, with 21 other people. What sense that making?
And hold up.
But
when
you know what? I'm glad though, because we can sweat now,
When
right?
you finish sweat, and the sweat done, everybody tired. Because as old people, you can't sweat more than half hour. You're tired. You then have to sit on the sidelines after the sweat is done, the lights turn off, and put back on your mask after we rub up, sweat hit you all
How you
out.
sweat, Jen? I don't know. I don't want to sweat with you,
Hit
Jen.
you all out,
What's going on?
right? When you do so and you get a man a shake up, so he fall and he fall and he fall down and all them kind of thing. You get a bad slide tackle on the concrete. All of that happens. You could then have to put on your mask and keep socially distanced.
Okay, so you're a cyclist, right? So have you done rides with 21 other cyclists recently?
Very much so.
Very much so. Did you all wear masks? Were you all
Aye.
properly socially distanced on it? Like, all I'm trying to say is, man,
No.
where
No,
we getting this policy from? These things are crazy.
Yeah, but let's look at it this way, and maybe Maria could jump in here.
Maria's like, no. Still out of this one.
Rugby, it's a rugby sevens, right?
There is the
Yeah,
game
yeah.
rugby sevens.
Yes. Right? So that is 7-7-14. That should benefit some rugby clubs.
Plus you could have subs, right? You got 4 subs. So you see,
You have your subs.
The minister thought about this deeply.
What about beach rugby? How many people play beach rugby?
5
7
aside.
5?
Right,
See?
so they could have
So we
six
could have beach rugby. We could have
wind ball cricket. How much is having a wind ball cricket on the beach? You can have 11. Might be about 6 or 7 and plus.
No, but,
some subs.
but
She
in all
thought-
serious,
she
no, but
thought about
in
it.
all seriousness, sports like 7-a-side rugby
wind ball cricket.
will support.
what,
I want you to talk
the new regulations.
a rugby player. You all will support it now because
Well,
it's an
rugby,
opportunity to know.
Of course, everyone
Yeah.
is dying to get a run, but
Yeah.
rugby is a little bit different because we have certain return to play protocol that we have to follow, and we're also a highly contact sport.
Right. So
There's
you
not no
can't-
brush up
There's no
against someone.
incidental contact.
You know, it's
Right.
so we can't play any contact yet. We still wouldn't be playing contact as well. People haven't been playing contact for so long. I think people have to be careful. I know if I go and take a run right now, I'm pretty sure my ankle is just going to look for a hole.
Yeah. That's another thing. Like, where we used to go roller skate on weekends, right opposite the Bartari Savannah. The grass is about this high. I didn't know the grass could grow that high, first of all. But they had a really vibrant wind ball cricket. Every weekend was a new tournament, and you're seeing. Now it's like the grass is that high, the place is like abandoned. Sports have been.
Look,
It's
that's
been
okay.
over a year almost.
Let me get serious for 10 seconds. The reality of it is still that the Minister of Sport, the Ministry of Sport, Sport Company, has not a clue about a proper sport policy in the COVID era. They just don't. We haven't formulated one. We haven't figured out what we can do, what we can't do, how to use the resources properly, how to set out protocol for all sports. Trying to ask a particular sport that is run by volunteers who right now might be struggling to keep their normal job, have to deal with kids at home, because that is what's going on, right? When you sit down in an office with a ton of people with resources, you can't come up with a policy, you're joking. You're just joking. You just need to seriously get with the program. And if you can't, let somebody else do it.
And
But
you know what?
You, can't, you don't know. You telling me we have the Ministry of Health. They have the Ministry of Education at their disposal. They have testing facilities at their disposal. They could call doctors and ask for serious things. Okay, let's get what will be. They can go and find out what, and they want rugby to come up with a policy. They want cycling to come up with their own policy. Tennis to come. That's nonsense.
You know what? What had happened over the last weekend? The NTA's athletics body, they did their test meet. So it was Saturday, was field events. They did 3 field events for under 17 men and women, under 20 men and women, and open. Overall, they had about less than 50 athletes on Saturday, but on Sunday they did 100 and 400 meter races, and they had probably about 130 athletes. And the overall consensus is that it was a success. People understood that, listen, these are different times. The organization led the whole process by sanitizing, telling people about what zones they could run in or warm up in, and no spectators. Usually you would have, the stands will have all the friends and family up there, the rest of the club will come out. So those elements were absent. And overall, what you saw is that the organization took the lead. It's a responsible organization. They want to make sure that their athletes who are in their charge survive this epidemic that we're in, so that, they can go on and win Olympic medals. So the idea of it is that, we want to have responsible people making responsible choices and decisions to allow people to continue doing their sport.
sport.
We have Carifta coming up. We have Pan Am, we have Olympics, we have NACAC championships. We have all of these different things going on. The other day, the Peruvian government canceled, well, not canceled, postponed
some
the
events.
Pan Am Elite
Cycling.
cycling. So we have big people sport, lots of money involved, a lot of investment in human and other resources. We can't just be taking these ad hoc magic number approaches to sport.
Yeah.
We have to think about, this is generational things. There are kids who did not get a scholarship because they never got to go to Carifta last year. We have to start thinking, okay, that's people that we now have to go and put in URP programs. We have to think of long-term consequences to these things. These magic ad hoc decisions are hurting all of us.
Which brings us to football, get blank.
Because that's our next thing.
Really?
We reaching the break yet?
We-
Whose
we-
show is it? He's the host, buddy. What's going on?
Football,
Is
We
that
talked about this,
blank.
Chris.
Is that cool you want to pull on the show?
Nah, I can't put
Anyway, what I want to talk about tonight is cricket.
Cricket,
West Indies,
my favorite
we
sport.
went to, and here how we're going to put Maria on the spot, right? Because she's an athlete, right?
Maria's looking like,
I get put on the spot a lot this
She's
evening.
an athlete, right? Now, your senior team going to a tour, right? Maria, the senior rugby team supposed to go on a tour.
right?
They declined because of COVID, right? You know is a what you call a second string player. They put you on the national team. You go into the tournament,
All they win.
you beat the team, but the team you beat is the team below you in the standings. So whether A team or B team or C team, we're supposed to beat that team, right? But nevertheless, you all beat the team in 2 series. Right?
That question, George,
Right.
more
It's a very
complicated
long
than my
question.
CMC maths
I have the
paper
notes
one.
coming here. This
Right.
part, this
Now-
part, this part,
now
this part.
you come back home now, and there's another tour coming up. And the senior players are available for that tour,
Right.
right? And they're saying now, because I think Roger Harper said, the chief selector said that, he's going with the big boys. Now, you went as a senior, as a low-level player,
Right.
and you did well. Now, you sitting down here now and seeing that the guys who refuse to go now, go in because the tournament is in the Caribbean.
Well, first and foremost, George, a team is a team.
Yeah.
So people like to divide it up with the first string and the second string and the A and the B and et cetera, et cetera. But a team is a team.
Right.
And a team is as strong as its bench, I believe. I think that anything could happen to any player. So the fact that people who may not normally have a chance to play are given the opportunity can only be good for a team. Because it's going to put pressure on those who are accustomed to having that opportunity to play to continue to improve, to continue to get better, to know that they can't rest because there are other players who would come up and
Waiting
take
to bust
the
your throat. I
chance
mean, take your swat.
to prove themselves.
Yeah. But the thing is now is that it seems that they're going to take back the senior squad and these guys who went abroad and who performed creditably, although you beat a side underneath you, you're going to be left behind now, not getting back to go.
Well,
Is it fair?
you ought to look at it from a couple of points. The first thing I think is the rules that the West Indian Cricket Board set for the senior players was you could do whatever you want. If you don't go on this tour, that ain't no problem. Well, they want to go and chase money in IPL, that ain't no problem. When all they done that, we still will select you. And that's what they were told.
But you don't leave out that
No,
part.
You did. And that's a key part because if they tell me, well, look, we have a tour coming up in Bangladesh, but if you want to go and play IPL and make your Chileans, go ahead, and when you finish, make your Chileans and, sing some Indian song in India and thing, you could come back and play. You could come back and play. I saying, yay! I going to make my Chileans sing my Indian song, come back and play. If that is the rule you are allowing me, that is what that's the rule.
But my concern is that you refuse to go because it's a safety issue.
But that
But
wasn't-
you went in
But you're
another
asking
tournament.
a question about feelings.
Yeah. Now that is it right now for me now that these guys supposed to get the first preference and go back as normal. And I went on, it didn't go. And I didn't fail, I did well.
But
I
George,
scored runs, we win the series, don't mind, is a team below us.
there's a couple of things, George. I mean, I'm a Trini, but there are places in Trini that I would go if you made me go, but I won't feel safe going. Right? But there are other places that I would say, yeah, let me jump in and we'll go. So maybe they did not want to go in Bangladesh or wherever they went, but they would be willing to stay at home and play. Or maybe they would go somewhere with a higher degree of remuneration.
And
So that if you do get sick, you will have at least a little something in your pocket to go and pay the doctor or whatever when you had to cough or whatever it is. But the question of the thing is this. We sent a team, whether it's A, B, or C, or whatever it is, to a place that is ranked lower than us in the international ranking. And then we are now applauding fish for swimming. You're supposed to beat somebody who's lower than you.
Yeah.
Right? So the headline is not that West Indies won, more like West Indies didn't lose. That's the headline. So if we sent a development team or we sent people to get them new blood or whatever, and we did see that. So this guy from Saints, what's his name? De Silva?
Yeah.
Saints man.
Shorty Silva. Good on
Yeah.
you, sir.
All right. So we had opportunities for new players to prove themselves, and those players took those things. But the fact is West Indies we're talking about. West Indies players are supposed to be some of the top athletes in the world because they're being paid. The fact that they weren't there and they weren't available on this tour is because they were asked to be other places for a lot of money. The only reason they're getting these offers is because they're good. You know, if they weren't good, they would have been home sitting on, boy, I ain't
I
got
see the
sweat,
break coming
boy.
up, but we are also, I look at it as a nice blessing in disguise. We took a team that had a number of debutants. They did well. Some didn't. We had I can't remember the man. The man keeps swinging and sweeping and getting bowled. What's his name? Call his name now. He from Barbados because, you know, Barbados always provided.
This big guy, Rakim or whatever his name.
Well, yeah.
He got a sweat, right?
Yeah.
All the time. He gets
Right?
sweat. He gets sweat all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that, you know, a lot of players that we would have never gotten a chance to see in a full.
Mosley. Is Mosley name?
Yeah, look.
Mosley keeps sweeping and getting bowled. I don't know who. If the
Man was practicing the shot, bro. You never know when that shot is going to be. That's the
what he
game
need is
winner.
a broom. He don't need a bat. He need a broom so he could sweep his room on there. But a number of players got a chance. A number of bowlers got a chance. A number of batsmen got a chance. Craig Braffett got a chance to captain the side, show that he could be a good captain, which I thought he was a reasonable captain in all circumstances.
He didn't lose.
He didn't lose, and he was good.
So that's a big difference right there. One time.
Now, what the selectors need to do is see who out of that set could make it to the higher level. That's as simple as it gets.
I don't know. I still say we trying to applaud fish for swimming. You're supposed to win, and it's nearly irrelevant to me. Right? So now is when we're going to find out who's the real West Indian.
Well, at that point, we'll take a break. You're viewing Scoreboard on ACTN, and we have Chris and Dennis with us, and we're discussing some topics that has been in the forefront for a while now since the West Indies came back from the tour, and we'll continue after the break. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard ACTN. Gentlemen, we're still trying to see how we can get into the heads of the selectors. But I would think that the head selector, that statement he made was not proper. You don't make a statement that the big boys will be.
Yeah, it's no such thing as a guaranteed
right?
sweat.
Because these guys come back.
Unless he was one of 22. Then you have a guaranteed
Magic number.
Yeah.
Magic number.
These guys came back. They won the series. One guy, Myers, he scored a double century. Fat boy Cornwall take a number of
You
wickets.
can't call him man fat man. Man
The
do
Silver, the
stand.
Big guy.
Big guy.
Because if he come here, all of we will be like, good see, good day, Mr. Cornwall, sir.
Guy,
The
talk
Silver,
to me. Yeah,
I
sure.
think the Silver deserves his spot on the on the squad because I think he did well batting and behind the stump. But you don't come out and say, well, okay, for Sri Lanka tour, the big boys will be back, right? You know, even if you want to do that, you have to do it in a proper way. There must be people from the second string team who did well, supposed to at least, you know, be there.
You know, I think that whole, the fact that we've reached here in 2021 after such a long time of trying to figure out who are the best pieces to put. Now we have this abundance of quality. I think we always had it, but let's just say, you know, now people are discovering that it's not just, you know, what we see on the pitch. We have a depth, right? That specific problem, to me, is an indication of the quality of the individual programs across the different regions. And I was, like I was talking to Chris when we were driving down here, I think it's time we started thinking about Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Barbados, Windward Islands as separate entities rather than this monolithic West Indies that I think has served its time, and it's no longer ever going to be the West Indies team of the 80s. It's never going to reach to that kind of apex. So might as well just let the individual territories get out there. Guyana, I'm pretty sure there are hundreds of Guyanese cricketers who are willing and able to take up a mantle as Guyana against the world. West Indies versus the world back in the days, yeah, you know, we were trying to break down this colonial mentality, and we were trying to prove ourselves against these old white people who kept us down for the... What is the motivation now? Yeah. Motivation now is to, guess what, make as much money in the 10, maybe 8 to 10 years as a pro, and then come back here and drive Range Rovers. That's the motivation.
Or Audi Q7.
Or Audi Q7s, or whatever.
Yeah, or Mercedes-Benz G-Class. I'm just calling out, I'm calling out.
We calling out, we are passed by
X5.
Queen's Park Oval or something recently.
But listen, when Stanford 2020 started, I think even though the West Indies Cricket Board didn't want to admit it, it made a massive cultural change in how teams. We, as a Trinidad and Tobago team, had Darren Ganga led a team that went to the Champions League.
Yeah, and we made the finals.
That had more support than any West Indies team had had for 10 years. We were sitting down in front of our TVs glued as Trinidadians. Why? Because it was national pride. You think any one of them fellas didn't want to be on that team? Everybody wanted to be on that team. All the Trinidadians wanted to be on that team. Far different from wanting to be on our West Indies team. So the meaning or the value attached to being a West Indian player has diminished over time. And I think we need to start dealing with that. We need to start dealing with, as Tay said, the cultural scenario of the fact that we are no longer, you know, Jamaica has been able to get glory through Usain Bolt and through their 4x100 and through Fraser Price.
Surely.
And Trinidad has been trying to, we got glory in athletics through our 4x4. And so we have been, as an individual country, been able to fight against the world and in some cases succeed. So this case of being the West Indies team to succeed has lost importance, and we need to deal with that. We need to deal with that as a cultural thing. So soon enough, some of those smaller islands will be doing the same thing that we are doing. Barbados, Grenada has Karani James. You know, Barbados had, who's the sprinter they had? Anyhow. And they had a
Who's that?
sprinter.
Barbados?
Barbados had a sprinter, man.
Yeah,
Obadele.
Yeah.
And it will go on and on. So as cricketers, these guys are making millions when they go out. The West Indies Cricket Board can't afford to pay Sunil Narayan.
Yeah, Sunil guaranteed contract was what? 750,000 US?
Kyron Pollard, they can pay.
Come on. Who's paying that? You could make that money playing for West Indies in what? 3 or 4 years?
Puran.
And then you have to train some tests? Who wants to play tests? I don't want to watch tests.
Puran is going to play in IPL for 6 weeks. And the money he will make this year or next IPL, the West Indies Cricket Board will have to find, what, 5 years of salary to pay him.
Yeah.
They're real.
So the reality of the motivation for these guys, you want to make a West Indies team so that you could get your name out there and get a better contract for the thing. But look at people like, what's his name? Akil Hussain, right? On the fringe of the West Indies team for so long, but so much raw talent. So much, not just raw talent, well-polished talent. He's a talent.
So,
but is he going to get a regular sweat? Is he going to be one of those guaranteed picks that we're talking about, that Roger Harper's talking about? I don't think so.
So how do you think you can measure the depth that you talked about, right? So if we have depth within the West Indies team, this example has proven that, right? How do you measure that to say, all right, we have enough depth that we can go to national teams?
We could send about 5 West Indies teams, let them play wherever. Hey, where's that you want? You have something in where? In Holland? Sure, no problem. Send some big fluffy jackets and we'll come and play. Wherever. Send West Indies A, B, C, D, wherever. Go right down full thing. Double up letters.
Yeah, my son and I were looking at the T20 final from 2014 that we won. That was, I think, the first time we won. And he said, Daddy, how many Trinidadians on the team? I said, boy, nearly everybody.
It was 7 or 9
But
or something like that?
It was 7.
Yeah.
And so it's important to work out the fact that in terms of the T20 campaigns and the T20 development and T20 players, Trinidad is definitively ahead of all the other nations in the Caribbean.
Because although we won the series, we didn't win the T20 series. We lost to Bangladesh.
Which is in itself...
Because they needed more Trinidadians on the team.
Which is in itself another very strange conundrum to figure out.
What I'm trying to get at here is that I'm trying to get the feeling of these players coming back. After you come back with the hype of winning a series.
You feel crappy.
Because the last time we won a series was in 2019 when we defeated England, right? But
no, that's a series to boast about.
Yeah, right.
You're not going on.
Because England now is one of the top 3 teams.
Yeah.
So, right? But what I'm saying is that you come back after winning a series, regardless of who you beat, because you play the opponent that is in front of you, regardless of who it is, and you win, right? Now, you come back here now as a player now, and the next tour come up, you see all these players come back who didn't go. I mean...
You feel demotivated?
Exactly, and Maria, I mean, you're an athlete.
Well, I think the players have a certain expectation of what's going to happen.
Right.
But what's different now is that they've set a certain bar. So whether or not they go on the next tour, they're going to be watching, and there's more pressure on the players that do go on the next tour.
I agree.
Because any mistake that they make is going to be blown up so much
but do
bigger.
you think that, okay, let's say, for instance, I like Cornwall, who took all the wickets and everything, right? He doesn't get picked, right? And he's just waiting. But I did sufficient to be there. You understand? So, I mean, I'm not supposed to be waiting. I'm supposed to be there.
Well,
like
for me, I look at it from a point of view of, I think, I don't agree with Harper's statement, but I do understand Harper's predicament in that you have to pick the best players available to you. And he will do that, regardless of whether we agree that the player should have gone on the tour, should not have gone on the tour. Because, again, the president of the West Indies Cricket Board set the rules for them.
Yeah,
and
but
they followed the rules based on what he said.
Is it that they know that this current side who beat the lowest side under them cannot beat a side who is above them?
Think I'd like this, right, George? You know, you're going somebody, some old person house and thing, you watch on the wall, right? and you see your Sacred Heart of Jesus, you see Martin Luther King, you see a Dr. Eric Williams, and then right next to that is your plaque from winning against Bangladesh? No. Nobody ain't putting that up on the wall. Come on. Let's get real. It's Bangladesh.
I don't know that.
We ain't going and rate up this thing. Let's reground it. And we also lost to the same team. So this idea, hey, look, a win is a win is a win. We're all athletes here. We could all say that, hey, we take that win and we happy with that. But we ain't going to tell nobody and put it up on Instagram, but yeah, boy, we just beat that. No,
and the thing is, if you look at it, the first test match, we won by 3 wickets. The second test match, we won by 17 runs.
Right. So it was close.
Right? It's a close
And Bangladesh had declared in that first test.
Too early.
Too early. So they declared. They batted first, declared.
So are we going to be putting
and give us a target.
Subtitles for people who don't watch cricket here? Because I'm like, huh?
And give us a target to chase. And on 2 occasions, failed to use the umpire call out. So they twice he was out, and they said, we ain't going to leave him. We go leave him. But what I'm getting at is, as an athlete, you know, Maria's right, you know what to expect. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Some of the guys on that team, just not good enough, even though they win. Some of them ain't good enough. That's the bottom line. When we come to the higher opposition, despite the fact that I like them, despite the fact that as a team they won, they're not good enough. And they can't make the team. The reality of it is, where I think the big controversy is definitely needs to be looked at, is the captaincy. Do we continue with Braffett, or do we go back to Tolban?
Holder.
My view is no, Holder. I think Holder, Jason has run his course as a captain, and now he just needs to be a player and concentrate on what he's doing. And
so you are giving a man a chance to be captain just because he went and win two games?
No,
I think because Holder has displayed a complete lack of understanding of the role. I think he really...
He don't have it.
I mean, you give somebody enough time and say, all right, well, maybe they turn in this corner. Remember when we were turning this corner and under Dave Cameron was turning corner like he was driving NASCAR. Right? Turning corner constantly.
He was on a roundabout.
Right? Yeah. But when we started thinking about, all right, you know what? What more does he need to prove?
Yeah.
Right? To me, he had his opportunities.
You know what?
It's time to keep it going. Yeah. It's not like if we ain't had nobody else.
I love the Australian system because they have given Aaron French, Tim Payne, Smith. You mess up once, you mess up twice. You know what? You're going like you're really unable with this. Let me try somebody else. Jason Holder has been allowed to mess up, and I put that in inverted commas, Jason. And I like him as a player. And probably if I meet him, I'd like him as a human being. But the reality of it, as a captain of the West Indies team, he has failed numerously times. You know what, Jason?
Ain't no
we
problem.
like you, but at this point...
He could bowl a ball or two.
And he could bat when he's ready. But you know what? As a captain...
As a leader of men on the pitch, he's not inspiring confidence.
And the other thing we need to start thinking about is this mass division between our teams. We have a test team that's so separately and different from our one-day team, which almost seems so separate and different from our T20 team. Yet, all the other teams have a number of players that are playing all the formats, right? Trent Bolt playing T20, 50, Test, right? Mitchell Stark playing T20, Test, 50. So why it is that our division is so grand? How come? And why it is our test captain?
Is it that certain players suit different style? Because, okay, you have in rugby, you have 15s, 10s, and 7s, right? Do you all have, like, different players?
Well, there would be overlap depending on how many players you have available to you. There can be overlap, but they are separate programs. So a 15s program is going to be geared differently than a 7s program. Right. If you're playing beach rugby, that's a whole different set of things that you're looking at as well. But there can be overlap, and I think that there is importance in carrying over the skill sets that are required in all formats of the game.
Okay.
So, Mitchell Stark, I agree with you. If you could bowl good, you could bowl good. Full stop.
Yeah.
It's better you could bowl 10 overs.
Yeah.
whole day and you could focus and you could plan this thing out. Test cricket, from my understanding of it, is a little more mental. It's a little more cerebral. You're really going to have to think about, because a man could stand up and watch you and wait for you to bowl your off ball for you and then hit it hard and then come back, because it's whole day.
Yeah, it's 5 days.
Whole day,
It's
for a
5 days.
whole week.
Yeah.
You know, people just forget they play. I still playing, man. Oh, shit. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a different mental framework that you had to approach Test cricket from T20. T20 cricket, find the biggest piece of lumber you could find and just get ready to launch at it. Wherever that little red, what color ball is? White?
White.
Yeah, wherever that little white dot is, that's where you put the lumber, and usually it's like 6. Yeah, great. And if you miss, well, somebody else is going to try the same strategy. Hit that ball as hard as possible out the park. But you can't do that in a test, although we try.
This year,
We try the same
interesting
type
thing
of...
for the selectors, I think, this year is the fact that we have a T20 World Cup coming up.
Yeah.
And the reality is, who will be that T20 team? Because genuinely, we have a chance of winning it again. And we need to start thinking about that. And all the countries now are starting to develop their programs to make T20 players, because that's where the money is. You know, Jamaica 10 years ago didn't have Andre Russell, but now they have Andre Russell and they have Rothman Powell and they have a couple of players, and you're going to start to see more of those. You're going to see Guyana producing more.
You class Rothman Powell with Russell?
You know how West Indies has developed players? Yeah. We just call everybody there and just have a list, and we just grab jerseys from a box and you throw that. That's how we develop players. Because come on, let's be real. What's the difference between the Test team, the ODI team, the T20 team? What's the difference in the process of developing those players? There's no difference. I don't mama guy nobody out here. It's a raffle. Come on, it's a raffle. It's like, okay, who have T25? T25, there you go. And that's how it's go. Come on, we need to be a little more, there's too much basis on the territories, and then we should just let the territories do whatever they have to do and let them go and fight out there against the Sharks and the rest of the world of cricket. That's my point.
What do you say there, George?
George is like,
George thinking.
No, you see,
might be onto something.
My whole point, my whole outlook on anything is that we make so much of fuss about this winning here, this series here, right? That we tend to forget that it was the 2 lowest teams in world cricket
playing
that were battling together, right? Australia, England, India, New Zealand, South Africa. When we can beat or compete with these teams, right? Because the senior, we'll talk about this when we come up from the break, but the senior team who refused to go, they came back from a tour with New Zealand, and what did we do? We lost.
Zeros.
Right?
We had a lot of zeros.
Viewers will be right back after the short break. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard. Gentlemen, now, as we say, this big charade about historic, I hear certain past players using the word historic victory. right? Right? Now,
Okay.
What was
as
the
I
story?
said, the last time we won a series was in 2019 under Jason Holder,
Right.
where we beat
England.
England 2-1, right? That is, we could celebrate a big because England was one of the top teams, and we wouldn't expect to beat them. But when the two bottom table teams are fighting for survival, because in all the cricket that we're playing right now, I think we're looking for points to gather to go forward, right? And we defeat this team. Bangladesh had not played cricket in a year because of COVID, right? West Indies still played India
Right.
and New Zealand,
New Zealand.
and we lost badly, right? And those were the top guys who played in those two tests.
Right.
So I'm trying to show you here where the senior team played two of the top nations and we were beaten badly, right?
Yeah.
The second string team played the team under them and we won.
There's, as he says, you ain't going to put a plaque on your wall. It's a no massive achievement. It's great from the point of view that at least we have a group of youngsters or a group of debutants, development team that have potential.
I don't know.
Potential.
To me, and I don't want to sound like if disparaging the win. What I'm saying is that we were supposed to win. We were supposed to win, and we did, kind of. I don't think that the lessons on the pitch were enough to warrant that that team should replace anybody with more seniority or with more obvious class, right? As an athlete, as a competitor, you always want to take the win. You always want to tell your team that regardless of what, whistle blow, you're in a kit, game time. Show up, be ready. Even if you're the 15th man, on the 15th name on the list, you ought to be ready for anything. A man could sprain a finger, a man could pull up a muscle, whatever it is, and you could be called. You have to be ready and able to fill in. So from that point of view, I'm glad to see that the team, because it's still a West Indies team, it's going to go down in the history books as West Indies. It's not going to have any asterisk next to it and say, well, that was a B squad. No, it's a full international, great. But I don't see where the instructive, hard lesson is going to be coming from in this whole enterprise. We make some money, we got a chance to leave the house and see the world, and now it's back to some real cricket, and yeah. Thanks, guys.
Was
we'll
nice.
call you again.
and then you have to ask yourself, we had a team that played, as you say, didn't play. We played against a team, didn't play test cricket in a year. We had some players on the team that didn't look fit. Is Raheem Cornwall fit? That's a good question to ask. Some of the other guys, can they bowl? We had guys bowl and couldn't bowl, 10 overs. We had to keep shuffling them around. So all of those things need to be answered. And the fact that we won the test doesn't necessarily say that this is a team or that these players will be world-dominating players.
I don't think anybody in West Indies could say that, make that claim, though.
Yeah.
Right now, West Indies has some hard answers, some hard questions to answer. First of all,
Now if you take a look at Cornwall, the size of this guy,
I like the guy,
right?
And he lose weight.
Is he?
He actually,
is,
yeah, I know
is
what
he
I'm
fit?
saying.
No.
Listen, is that an app? Wait, hold on. Zoom in.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Right?
kidding.
No, is he fit? Right? No.
Listen, you know what?
You remember when they had dropped Hetmaya and Lewis because they said they didn't pass it?
They was
in
eating
sets,
too much stew chicken.
right? But
Yeah,
could this fella do shuttles?
You know what, though? He can hold one of those very large bats effortlessly. And from what I've seen, he has excellent hand-eye coordination, and he has excellent timing. So once he has the mind frame to get in there and make some runs, I think he's a valuable asset to anybody. He seems to be also very handy with the ball, and he can get some wickets. Is he an all-round player that you can just put in the field and you have him diving and wrapping up? I don't think he's that kind of guy. But you know what? If you hit the ball at him, he's going to catch it. Yeah. He is not some kind of dinosaur. He's not some kind of oaf that is some novelty act. He's a legitimate cricketer. And if he give me, if I'm bowling to this guy and he hit me for a little 50 or I'd be very upset about that.
No. And
See, he's
he's
an
very-
agile kind of guy.
yes, although he's big, right? And
Well coated, but you know.
Well quoted.
because look at that catch he took there.
Yeah,
right?
he in slips. I mean, you're not going to put some uncoordinated off in your slips.
No, you can't put him too far on the boundary because there's too much running.
But he
And the
come
slip
like, yeah,
is
but right
just-
now Chris Gayle in the same position. Nobody don't put Chris Gayle to feel anywhere other than slips or in the covers.
Yeah, but you know what you
wanna
don't
class
have?
Chris Gayle with
No, what I'm
covers?
saying is right now that is where Chris Gayle is feeling because Chris Gayle don't want to run for no ball.
No, but
Even when he batting, he don't want to run. If he hit the ball and it's looking like he had a run, he telling yourself, he watching you on the next end and saying, here now, you see me? I ain't running for that, you know.
But you know what it don't have? It
No
don't
quick
have
signal.
no highlights where the ball zinging past him and he doing so and you know and the ball down here. It ain't no highlights like that. So
We just see one. You see, you talk too quick.
What's that?
A highlight of the ball zinging past him.
no, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Man.
Well, listen, the reality of it is we need to, our coaches, I'll take this, there's the guy from Jamaica, the fast bowler, Odin Smith, I think is his name.
yeah.
Look at him before he went to the IPL and look at him when he came back from the IPL. And you saw a player that lost at least 15 to 20 pounds, looked more well-muscled, his run-up and everything seemed better. So it is clear that we are not doing enough work to get our players fit to a world-class standard in the West Indies at this time.
Maybe we should ask an athlete.
Well, wait. Hold on.
As an athlete too?
Perspective
Watch
on
now.
do we as athletes or do you all as athletes do enough to maintain fitness and to be match ready for whatever sport that you're into?
Well, that's a very broad question, George. I think in the discussion, you need to look at the perspective, what you're looking at, right? So you're saying it's a historic match, it's a historic event. And then on another side, you could say, well, it's not. Well, if the original team had gone, would we be having this discussion?
No.
We're having the discussion because
If they'd gone and
different
they'd
people went.
lose.
Yeah, if they're going to
And-
lose.
We would have been having another kind of discussion.
So, George, you asked, how do the players feel if they're going to be overlooked for the next match? Well, the same way, it's historic for them. Imagine they had gone, had the chance, get called up, lose, and everyone is like, well, we kind of thought that was going to happen. So for them, their perspective, this is a huge win. It's a huge win for other athletes who are looking to say, what am I going to do? How am I going to get my chance to shine? So I think it's how you look at it. And it's also an example when you say, are athletes doing enough to stay fit? Well, part of that is the motivation. What is your motivation to push yourself very, very hard? Is it that glimmer of hope that you're going to get on that tour, get that spot on the team that you're reaching for? And I'm not sure that enough emphasis is placed on that or enough, acknowledgement of that happens to keep our athletes working and believing that they will get an opportunity to showcase their work.
I think the Cornwall that we saw at the CPL and the Cornwall that we saw in the store, you're seeing physical improvements. He seems to have lost some weight. He seems to be, and like I said, it's not like if he is a complete misfit on the pitch. He's not even a misfit. He's a full cricketer. So while he might be an easy target for any kind of derisive comments and it may be a little bit of a nitpicky kind of way to approach it, he might be symbolic of the level of fitness of some of the other men who are not in the regular call-up. But certainly he has shown that, you know what, you give me a bat, I'm going to be able to slug it out the park.
And you give me a ball and I go
and
at you a few times. And see
he's
if
done
you get
some
it.
damage. So, is he staking a claim for himself on the regular team against an opposition like Bangladesh? In my opinion, I don't think so. But certainly, I think the sky's the limit for the guy. If he gets a good strength and conditioning program, if he starts to get a more reasonable athlete-centered diet, athlete-oriented diet, I think he can do. I think it's his spot to lose.
Yeah.
If he
In the
could get
picture.
in there, yeah,
He in the
it's
picture.
up to him.
I want to say that from this tour, guys who have put themselves in the picture to be selected, Akil Hossain,
Akil,
certainly Big
De
Man,
Silva.
Joshua De Silva, well, he was kind of fringing on already, so I think he will just continue to be in and around
Yeah,
the
because he was on the
conversation.
tour to New Zealand.
He was in
yeah.
the tour to New Zealand. Kyle Myers has to be now considered in and around the conversation, and Alzari Joseph.
Well, he's a permanent on the
and quite obviously, a couple others, probably just Braffett kind of getting back. I don't know why they dropped him in the first place, to be quite honest. He had a poor run of form, but I don't think that was enough reason, because we have had other players have way worse run of forms and keep getting played. But anyhow, that's another thing.
Did he tweet something against Dave Cameron?
Could be.
Probably.
Could be.
Could be a reason.
Could be a reason like that. So we had those players, and I think I want to see those players keep being on the fringe or having an opportunity. If somebody gets injured, they get a little look in, that kind of thing. I also think, having said that, it's time that we look at some of the other players who have gone past their expiry date and say, it was nice, thank you very much.
And give these guys...
Don't come back.
One of the questions too, isn't the West Indies board up for some re-election or something?
I'm not too sure.
Isn't that coming up sometime
Not
soon?
yet, not yet.
Okay.
They have a good ways to go. But yeah, they have some players. I mean, one of the considerations, are we going to take Chris Gayle to the T20 World Cup coming up?
Why not?
Are we going to take Dwayne Bravo to the T20 World Cup?
Why not?
And why? If we are taking him, why?
But why not? What's the case against them? That they'd be
good
too
enough.
old?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't feel so, man.
But you understand what I'm saying? And these are legitimate questions that need to be answered.
If I look at a photo of Chris Gayle today,
we have Evan Lewis as an opener. You have Glendale Simmons trying to make it back as an opener. Who else?
Fletcher.
So the question is, if you want to replace the people who are going to give you another 10 years of service versus somebody who might be on his last legs or maybe on his last 2 or 3 tours, it's a mental game, right? You ought to be ready to play 3-4 hours of cricket at a time, and that level of focus, if you're not properly motivated, that is what is going to, you'll be sitting down there and you're thinking, I wonder how much likes my last post here, boy. How much books my thing sell on Amazon yesterday, boy.
Yeah.
Boy, this girl's supposed to come in, what's this really going on? And then it's, you focus, you had to be in the game. And I don't think that for a lot of these older guys who had to go through that really tiresome episode with Dave Cameron, I think the new disposition might be a spark, but is it enough to keep them going for the type of period that we need them in the program again? It makes no sense again, man, take a sweat now and then next 2-3 tours you come back and then I take no. Yeah, we have to rebuild our franchise to the point where people are waking up in the morning scared to play the West Indies. Oh, God, that man going to bust my head. Oh, God. Nah, boy, and you're calling your mom, I survived. I got that first over. One came really close to my head, and I was all right. Hold on, I'm coming. Yeah, I'll call you back. That's the kind of fear we used to inspire, When you see Joel Garner, you used to be like, yes, sir, how you doing, sir? You know what I mean? When you see these guys now it's like a novelty show. We beat West Indies there, so what? So to build back that, we need to have a long-term commitment by the players, and we need to be able to a long-term development or redevelopment of them. And we have to look at that program and look at that process and say, how do these new guys fit in? What did that win tell us or teach us about where they're going to be fitting into the program in the future? And I don't think we learned anything. I think it was a sweat. It was like that football sweat with the national team. It was like that, and it was like, you get a call, hey, you want to come and play some cricket? Yeah, sure, no problem. All right, we're outside.
I'll just say that our good friend here, who is part of the station, I think Joshua, a.k.a. the Gyro, asked if somebody wanted a sweat. I said, yes, the rest of the national team that didn't play the match, them wanted a sweat. He asked, wherever you are, good.
It's where they went, it's Florida, right? Maybe they got
Orlando. They went
Biscayne
Orlando.
Mall or whatever it is. It's a nice shopping.
Yeah, they went and
some nice shopping.
I hear so.
Yeah, they didn't get to play much.
Yeah.
But maybe they got some nice duty free or something. Might have
But the
picked up a
reality
camera or
of
something.
there's definitely is changes in the air at West Indies cricket. And the T20 leagues around the world is making cricket different. What players are willing to do, the money they make, the things that they can do. So we need to start working out what the cricketers have already done it. They are telling you what is more important to them. That's the bottom line. And so we need to start making policy that makes sense to the players that we have coming up. There was a couple of players. There's a player from St. Vincent that played in that T10 league in
Abu Dhabi.
in Abu Dhabi. I can't remember his name now. But he can't make a West Indies, or has not been made a West Indies team in the last 3 years. But I'm sure that T10 in Abu Dhabi, he made more money than he's made from the West Indies in the last 3 years. And if he, in his mind, if this is my route to earning a proper living, then this is what I will do. So we need to start thinking about the players that run in that route.
But Maria, do you see an issue with not playing for your national team and going to a tournament which is financially beneficial to you?
Well, I would say you can't knock a person's hustle. People have to earn.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that when it comes to, say, professional and national duties, that it should be taken into consideration. It can't be that you have a certain amount of skill that you hire out, and when you're available, you would represent the country, because there are people that take that honor so seriously that they should be given the chance. Of course, they need to also have the skills. But those same people that would take that honor, I don't think that they want to step up if they do not feel that they are going to do the position justice. And I think that some balance should be found in the question of, do we do this for money? Do we do this for honor? And how do we represent the country and build that pride that we need to keep the sport moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, for some of those athletes, I think it's an easy call, because, you know, you see you can pull up with a Range Rover and demand respect, and then you can have a C-list retainer contract and not be able to demand groceries at the store. So I would always say that, you know, like Maria just said, you know, respect a man hustle. Yo, this is your hustle. It's not like if, you know, you're going to be able to do this for the next 50 years. Make hay while the sun shines.
Respect a man show. We're coming to the end. Well, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure having you all on set.
Same
Maria,
here.
thanks again. Right? Viewers, remember, there's a repeat of the show tomorrow at 1 p.m. and also on Saturday at 1 p.m. And join us right back here next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Respect our man show.
Yeah.